The prophecy did not arrive with thunder or trumpets. It came as a whisper, written into the margins of time, a map left for a soul whose heart splits like a river meeting stone. 888 years ago, when candles spoke in trembling light and ink bled slowly across rough parchment, a quiet scribe pressed a message into the world for a traveler born under the sign of the twins. He called it the Split Path, not as a curse, but as a vow. That the Gemini would one day stand where roads diverge and hear both call their name with equal tenderness. You feel that vow inside your chest, don't you? The steady ache of being two people at once, curious wanderer and devoted keeper, silver laughter and low thunder, messenger and monk. The prophecy said you would carry a heart with two doors and both would be true. It said choice would haunt you until you learned that the doors were not separate rooms, but entrances to a single sanctuary. It said your mind, Mercury's own lantern, would race ahead and your body would follow. And what you once called indecision would be revealed as reverence for the unseen consequences of a life. If your spirit recognizes itself in these lines, let this be our gentle tether. Subscribe to Astro Gemini so this conversation can be an ongoing temple you return to whenever the crossroads feel crowded and your voice needs a home. The scribe wrote about a place called the midroad, a thin silver bridge that appears only when your breath slows. On one side, the path of echo, where you learn by mirroring the world, adapting, translating, trying on 100 moods like changing the sky's color with your hands. On the other side, the path of flame, where you create the world as you need it to be, declaring, cutting through fog, making a single note ring so clear it becomes a bell tower. The prophecy did not ask you to choose one. It asked you to learn the rhythm of stepping from echo to flame and back again, without shame.
When no one is looking, you've already practiced it. You listen with a tenderness that could water stone, and then you speak with a candor that startles even you. You say yes, and then you say no. And if someone tries to catch you in contradiction, you smile softly, because you know that river that holds both banks is the river that moves. The prophecy honored your motion. It saw the way you switch trains without losing the journey, the way you pivot mid-sentence and somehow land at the exact truth that needed a voice. But it also warned of a season, the season of glittering crossroads. It arrives when your reflections multiply, screens upon screens, opinions like constellations put too close together to read. The scribe could not imagine phones or algorithms, yet he saw a hall of mirrors where sudden lights would steal your attention and sell you back a fraction of your face. In that season, the prophecy said, you must remember the midroad. Place a hand on your chest. Trace with 2 fingers the shape of the bridge from sternum to navel. Slow your breath until a decision stops sounding like a verdict and starts sounding like a vow. There is another line the scribe underlined twice. The twins will not be punished by choice, only polished by it. He wanted you to know that the split path is not proof you are broken, it is proof you are a weaver. When you doubt this, recall the moments no one saw, how you turned jealousy into curiosity, restlessness into research, second guessing into second sight. That is the Gemini's sacrament, not choosing quickly, but choosing cleanly after you've listened to both voices and invited them to sit at the same table. If you feel called to anchor this message in your own stars, leave a note in the comments with your date of birth and your zodiac sign. Consider it a candle lit in this chapel of travelers, a way for your journey to be witnessed by those walking beside you.
And remember this about the number that crowns the prophecy, 888. In many tongues, it is the hum of renewal, the infinite returning to itself with a smile. For you, it is the assurance that every loop you make through doubt, wonder, action and reconnection is not wasted time, but sacred spiral. Keep circling, keep learning the music of your 2 feet on one ground. When the prophecy speaks of the split path, it does not mean a fork that ends in exile. It means the ceremony of becoming visible to yourself. In youth, you danced the path of echo with genius, absorbing accents, arguments, aesthetics. You could become a room's mood and could leave it lighter than you found it. People praised your adaptability and secretly leaned on it. But the prophecy says there comes a threshold where echo alone becomes hunger, where your empathy becomes a garment too damp to keep wearing. That threshold calls you toward flame. The path of flame is not the Gemini stereotype of impatience or inconsistency. It's the moment you choose the sentence that scares you because it is yours. It is letting someone be disappointed by your truth and trusting that disappointment is a teacher, not a tyrant. On this path, your wit becomes a sword sharpened by mercy. You stop spinning plates and build one table. You turn questions into commitments. And even as the old fear rises, what if my other self is abandoned? You discover something tender. When you stand for something, both of you stand taller. Still, the prophecy is kind to the ache. It knows that when you burn, you can also feel your burning bridges you might later need. That is why it gives you the ritual of the midroad. When your chest tightens at the idea of closing a door, do not close it. Redefine it. Say, I can step forward without slamming what is behind me. Say, I can bless past versions of myself for getting me here. Say, I can be fluent in adaptation and eloquent in conviction. Then act, not from anxiety's rush, but from devotion's calm.
There will be a night. The scribe predicted this, when you'll wake at 3:13 and your mind will start holding court. You'll replay a mistake like a loop of glass between your fingers. The prophecy asks you to do something then that feels illogical. Whisper 3 names for yourself out loud. One for the child who loved discovery, one for the adult who loves coherence, and one for the elder inside you who loves the long view. Invite all 3 to decide with you. You are not 2, after all. You are many, given the blessing of one body to carry them forward. The split path will also appear in love. You may be tempted to mirror your partner so precisely that your own dreams take vows of silence. The prophecy suggests a different intimacy. Reveal your changing nature early. Call it your liturgy. Say, my mind is a bird who migrates for truth, but I will always send postcards from every sky. Promise continuity of presence, not sameness of weather. The soul that meets you there, curious, patient, delighted by your changes, will not fear the split. They will become your mid-road companion. In work, the crossroads will glitter with opportunities that suit your brilliance. Writing, teaching, design, analysis, mediation, anything that lets you translate chaos into conversation. The prophecy asks, which path lets me tell the truest story? Which path demands I integrate rather than fragment? Choose that, even if it pays less at first, even if clout travels slower. You are building a cathedral of meaning. Quick scaffolds cannot hold your harvest. There's a line for the days you feel accused by your talent for beginnings. The Gemini builds constellations, not cages. You do not owe the world a permanent pose. You owe it honest evolution. The scribe reminds you to make 2 lists when you feel scattered. List A, the threads you refuse to drop. List B, the threads you are free to set down gently. Return to these lists at each season change. When Mercury dances backward, Reread them out loud and let what is no longer yours end with a blessing.
If you have ever been told that you are too much, too fast, too many windows open at once, take this as a benediction. Your house lets light through. The prophecy doesn't want you to draw the shades. It wants you to learn the ritual of opening one window at a time, so the breeze becomes a direction instead of a distraction. You are not a storm to be contained. You are weather learning to love its own sky. In the middle of the journey, the crossroads grows quiet. Noise tires of its own echo. You begin to hear the subtle choir beneath events, the hush that surrounds a clear yes, the soft resistance that follows a disguised no. The prophecy says this is where you practice devotion to clarity, not certainty, clarity. Certainty seeks a verdict, clarity seeks a vow. Certainty wants the world to stop moving, clarity moves with it, featherlight and anchored at once. To tend clarity, the scribe gives you 4 questions to ask any time you feel split. What is the kindest truth? What is the most alive choice? What am I unwilling to trade? What do I need to forgive to move? Whisper them before an interview, a confession, a purchase, a goodbye. Notice how your body warms when your answer is aligned. Notice how your shoulders harden when it isn't. Your body is the oldest library you own. Consult it like a saint. If any of this is helping you find breath in your chest again, let that be a signal to support the message. Tap like so this reflection reaches the next Gemini standing at their quiet crossroad, unsure which voice to trust. The prophecy speaks of shadow work with unusual tenderness. It knows that when you're praised for brightness, it can feel disloyal to admit the darker rooms inside you. But you are not a brand, you are a biome. When jealousy flickers, name it curiosity disguised. When comparison burns, name it a misdirected hunger for your place. When you gossip, notice the fragile child inside who fears being left out and offer them the front seat of your attention. The scribe insists, no light is lost by feeding the dark with dignity. Bring both twins to the table, one with questions, one with answers, and pour them the same tea.
Sometimes the split path isn't external at all. It is the debate you hold between brilliant plans. One path is bold, the other is beautiful, and you want both. The prophecy instructs, create a third way with time. Choose one for one season, the other for the next. Announce this plan to your life like a toast. The brain relaxes when it learns there is space for more than one chapter. You don't have to pick an identity forever. You can pick a curriculum for now. The scribe wrote a story to teach this. A traveler reaches a fork. Left, the orchard of mentors. Right, the river of invention. The traveler loves both fruit and flow. They sit down, pull a thread from their sleeve, and tie it from one signpost to the other, promising their future self they will return along the thread. They walk right first, build a raft, then follow the thread back to harvest apples that feed the next voyage. This is how the Gemini multiplies time, by weaving continuity through curiosity. You may bristle at the word discipline, but the prophecy asks you to redefine it as devotion to your most luminous future. Choose rituals that honor both twins, a morning that feeds your mind with new language, and an afternoon that feeds your craft with repeated practice. Journal not to prove you're consistent, but to witness how you change. Set alarms titled with blessings. Breathe like a bridge. Speak like a bell. Choose like a vow. These make the midroad easier to find when the world gets loud again. There is also medicine in play. Your sign heals through delight and dialogue. Start conversations that outlast the clock. Trade ideas the way musicians trade riffs. Let your curiosity be a sanctuary for those who've forgotten how to ask. Even your contradictions can be merciful when you turn them into windows instead of walls. Show someone how you changed your mind without shame. That is leadership in the age of mirrors.
And what of fear? The prophecy names it not as an enemy, but as a guide with bad manners. Thank it for its vigilance and seat it farther back in the cart. Fear sees cliffs. Your deeper wisdom sees wings. Let fear point, but let wisdom choose. You will know your choice is wise when it leaves you both energized and peaceful, like air after rain. As the prophecy nears its final paragraph, it shifts from instruction to blessing. It says, Gemini, split no longer means broken, it means broadened. You are not a coin with two sides, you are a prism. Turn yourself toward light and watch the hallway of color you cast. You were not made to pick one hue and live there forever. You were made to tend the spectrum with reverence and to bring coherence without cruelty. It also says, when you love, love with both hands. One hand learns, one hand leads, one asks, one answers. Let them trade often. The right partner for you will not demand you amputate your curiosity to earn rest. They will build rest inside curiosity. Your friendships will deepen when you stop auditioning for your own circle and start telling the truth of your changing weather. People can handle your wind when you trust your own anchor. The anchor, the scribe writes, is a vow. I will not abandon myself at the crossroads. That is the heart of the split path. Not which way you go, but who you refuse to leave behind while going. When you were tempted to fragment, choosing someone else's version of you to keep the peace, return to the midroad. Put 2 fingers on your chest. Breathe until your inhale and exhale feel like siblings reunited. Make eye contact with the self who felt overlooked last time and say, I am taking you with me. The number 888 returns here like a choir, past, present, future, singing the same note. The scribe imagined you reading this centuries later, a small screen lighting your face the way fire lit his. He believed that time itself bends toward those who move in wholeness. He believed that a life devoted to integration becomes magnetic, that purpose arrives not as a rigid destiny, but as the warm gravity of everything you've learned to love. He believed in your timing because he believed in your listening.
So this is the final instruction and the first miracle. On the split path, choose the step that lets you listen more deeply to your life. Not the step that impresses, not the step that vanishes you into someone else's approval, but the step that increases your intimacy with truth. If you choose like this again and again, the prophecy says your 2 roads will start to braid behind you into one golden trail, and those who walk it after will call it a teaching. If your heart wants a witness for this turning, meet me in the comments with your date of birth and your zodiac sign. Not for algorithms, but for affection, for the simple act of being seen as you are in this exact season of your sky. If this journey through the split path steadied your breath or returned you to yourself, subscribe to Gemini so our future conversations can keep you company in the quiet rooms where decisions become vows. And if you want others to find this same steadying light, like this video now. It tells the river of the internet to carry this message farther. May you leave this crossroad not with a single identity nailed to your door, but with a luminous continuity that hums through all your changes. May your curiosity remain wild and your commitments remain warm. May your listening be so honest that decisions feel like devotion. And when you feel the 2 doors again, remember, they open into the same sanctuary. Subscribe to stay close to this temple of words. Like the video so the blessing travels, and carry forward the scribe's ancient whisper, renewed in your modern breath, Gemini. The split is a prayer for wholeness, and you are already answering it.